Do you remember what you did when you turned 18 and became a legal adult? Did you buy a lottery ticket? Did you get your first tattoo? Maybe you tried a cigarette. Well, the first legal act I made as an adult was signing my amputation papers. It is fair to say I did not start adulthood off on the right foot. No, I started on my left. Well, that moment was devastating. It was not the end of my story, but the beginning of a new journey. One that brought me to Montana to study at Montana State University and to learn a completely different way of living and being. Most recently, this journey brought me to the top of Cotopaxi, a 19,347-foot volcano in Ecuador. I climbed with the Range of Motion project alongside other amputees. They provide high-quality prosthetic care for those in need in Ecuador and Guatemala. We climbed throughout the night to reach the summit, demonstrating what is possible when people like myself have access to high-quality mobility technology. So you might be wondering, how did I go from laying in a hospital bed, not sure if I was going to survive, to summiting one of the largest volcanoes in Ecuador? The answer I keep coming back to is community. Hi, my name is Bree Daniels, and I am a 2-time childhood cancer survivor, a founder, a builder, and a dreamer of things that I never knew were possible. The hardest moments in my life have given me my clearest purpose and brought joy, mobility, and community to the heart of what I do. This is not a story about surviving cancer. This is a story about mindset and using hardships to inform action. It's about being open to new paths when the old one is no longer an option. Because while we cannot control what happens to us in this life, we can always control how we respond. This was me as a kid, running around like Jack Sparrow, chaotic, flailing arms. I was in constant motion, and I lived for movement. I believed even with that form, I would play soccer professionally one day. And then I noticed a small lump on my ankle. My primary care doctor thought it was nothing, just a cyst. We all get cysts, right? But the pain got worse, the lump grew. Eventually, we were referred to a specialist. It wasn't nothing. I will never forget hearing the words cancer for the first time. The next day, I was rushed into a 17-hour reconstructive surgery. I had to lay with my leg above my heart for several weeks for it to heal. I thought a bad day was losing a soccer game, and suddenly it seemed like I was losing everything, and I wasn't in 6th grade yet. For me and my family, normal disappeared overnight. Before cancer, my biggest fear was getting lice. Chemo took care of that one real quick. Suddenly, I became the cancer kid. Months of treatment and radiation meant missing school, sleepovers, and sports. All the things I had taken for granted, my mobility being the largest one. That year was brutal. While I looked different on the outside, I was still just me, and I just wanted to be normal again. With the support from my family, my doctors, and my incredible community, I pulled through. I relearned how to walk and went back to school, determined to not fall behind. If I could face middle school girls bald and on crutches, I could do anything. Over the next several years, I crept back into normal life. Doctors had told me that I might never run again, but I'm stubborn. So I joined cross country and track and even became a varsity athlete. I did not want cancer to derail my plans, and I got back on the path I had expected for myself. And then senior year rolled around. And as everyone around me was applying to colleges and making their plans, life made plans for me. The day before my 18th birthday, I was diagnosed with cancer again. This time, bone cancer, caused by the radiation treatment that had saved me years before. The cure had become the cause. After they took my leg, which, by the way, they don't let you keep it, I asked, I underwent several more rounds of intense chemotherapy. They were way worse than the first time. As one doctor gently put it, they had to almost kill me to save me. It was during this time, when everything was stripped away, that I realized what is most important becomes crystal clear. Quality time spent with family and friends, feeling the sunshine on my face in the hospital courtyard, the rare occasion of a hot shower at home. These moments of unburdened joy and grace got me through the worst of it. My leg would not heal for over a year after my amputation due to complications. I was in limbo without my limb, but I did not want to wait to start living my life again. So I went on a cross-country road trip from Wisconsin to California on crutches, visiting as many national parks as I could along the way. This trip taught me something powerful. I did not need everything ready to begin. Even without all the pieces, even without a leg, I could still get started and create as I went. And I'm so glad I did, because somewhere on those long drives and big skies, I stopped in a town, Bozeman, Montana, and I knew I wanted to go to college here. My next steps, once I could take them, became clear. Once I got home for the trip, my leg was healed enough to be fit for my first prosthetic. Leg day took on a whole new meaning. Today is actually my 7-year anniversary of getting my first prosthetic. When I got it, it was as easy as putting one foot in front of the other. No, this was one of the harder things that I had to do because it required me to face my reality. I had a disability, and for the rest of my life, I would rely on mobility technology to move about the world. While I was overjoyed to be walking again, I was also overwhelmed. I had to let go of the path that I had originally envisioned for myself to begin to move forward. 6 months after relearning how to walk, I moved to Montana. And I'm so glad that I did. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I wanted a fresh start. It was during this time that I learned about an organization called Eagle Mount, a nonprofit that provides recreational opportunities for people with disabilities and young people impacted by cancer. I joked that I was a double whammy. And so I learned that they had an adaptive snow sports program. I hadn't skied in years, and I didn't know if I could anymore, but I knew I wanted to try. So I signed up for an adaptive ski lesson. And that's when the magic happened. I felt the wind on my face, the mountain underneath me, my body moving with power and not a whole lot of control that first day. I was hooked. I wasn't just skiing again, I was free again. That one lesson turned into a season, and that season turned into 5 years of Eagle Mount. I became a professional ski instructor, coaching others with disabilities like myself how to fly down the mountain. I witnessed the same joy I had experienced. And this did not just reconnect me to sport. This connected me to something more powerful, community. Eagle Mount has over 400 volunteers and 200 participants each season. I saw firsthand what happens when people show up for each other, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. I saw that simple acts like holding a sit ski or cheering on a first-time skier have rippling effects for healing. I saw again and again what I had experienced, that when people move, they heal, and when we move together, that healing amplifies. Being a part of this community gave me the confidence to start tinkering with my own prosthetic gear. I tinkered so hard, I ended up co-founding a company with a close friend, building affordable prosthetic modifications for action sports. We built our first prototype right here at the MSU Makerspace. Pretty soon, other amputees at the mountain started asking, where can I get one of these? Can I buy it? That's all we needed to hear. Bridger Bionics was born. We had the privilege of competing in the MSU 100K venture competition in 2024, placing second, providing funds to grow our team. Now we have 5 amputees who test our products and an incredible crew of engineers who rally behind our mission. We did not know what we were doing, we just got started, and now we have a whole community behind us. By this point, I had seen the recipe for community building and that it works. So when the Range of Motion project reached out, asking if I wanted to join the Cotopaxi climbing team to raise money and awareness for those still waiting for their mobility care, it was an easy yes. I was not a mountaineer, but I knew with the right attitude and altitude medication, anything was possible. Together, we raised over $130,000 for amputees in need in South America. We arrived as a group of strangers, and we left a community, forever bonded by this incredible mission. And this is not unique to Eagle Mount, to Range of Motion Project. This happens at organizations all over the country and world. First Ascents is a nonprofit that provides outdoor adventures for young people impacted by cancer and other serious health considerations. I learned how to whitewater kayak with them this summer. And the Inclusive Outdoors Project is a nonprofit that provides accessible and inclusive programming to get more people in the backcountry. I received my Adaptive Avalanche 1 with them this spring. So what do all of these organizations have in common? Now, I drew this graphic on the flight back from Ecuador after 24 hours of no sleep and a concussion, and I really thought I was onto something even profound maybe. But it's quite simple. All of these organizations get people together who have a shared mission or vision, and they overcome a challenge, which creates real momentum for transformative communities. Because when we build towards something larger than ourselves, we can create real change. Another key factor of all these organizations is that they're accessible, inclusive, and they celebrate mobility, however that looks for each individual. I want to zoom out, because this is not just my story. This is about what happens when we make things accessible from the start. 1 in 4 adults in the United States has a disability. That's not a niche. That's a quarter of the population. It is the only minority group anyone can join at any time. That is not a threat, that is just a fact. And yet, our systems from healthcare to product design to transportation continue to overlook, exclude, and underestimate people with disabilities. If we design things to be inclusive from the start, everyone benefits. Because we're not here to be inspirational, we're here to be included. And if we allow them, these perspectives and experiences can make the world a better place for everyone. Embracing being a part of the disability community, instead of trying to overcome it, has been one of the greatest gifts of my life. For a long time, I was in denial of my disability. I didn't have the tools nor the knowledge that I have now. I wish that I could tell my 11-year-old self that being different wasn't a bad thing. In fact, one day it would be one of my greatest assets. The lessons I've learned did not quite cost me an arm and a leg, just a leg. Let's hope I keep the arms. But I've learned through this journey that you don't forge new paths by waiting until you're ready. You create them as you go, by being open and curious and leaning into the communities around you. Because I did not build any of this alone. I built it through connection. So wherever you are on your journey, remember, the path forward does not have to be clear. You just have to get started, and you have to keep moving forward. Thank you.